Hello and welcome. We'd like to introduce to you a brand new program. It's like programs we've had before, but John and I, this is John Graham, new executive director. I'm Brian Dunphy, and this program is so fresh we actually came up with it last week, and we don't even have a name for it. So if you could email us at brian@cable8.net to come up with a program name if you think of anything interesting or snazzy. But anyway, we wanted
or not.
Or not. We might use it still.
Mundane.
If you are the only one, if you're the only one to email us, we may still use it. Anyway, the whole point of this program is to get to know the community of Greensboro, to have a in-depth discussion on anything and everything that is Greensboro, that is inclusive to Greensboro. That's artists, that's maybe politics, maybe
community
leaders, nonprofits, anything under the sun.
Community
followers. Yeah. What does it mean to follow a community?
Well, you can't have leaders and no followers.
I got you.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I can't take you seriously.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So,
I speak the truth.
So on the last First Friday program, as you know, we go around and we gather up the arts that's in downtown. And the wonderful thing about it is we get to introduce and get to know so many people in the community. And I was aghast. I was very enthused to learn, just the talent that we have here. That's really what we're here to highlight.
Just walking around.
Yeah, just being around in downtown and in our Cultural Arts Center and along Elm Street. Wonderful thing. If you haven't gone to it, come down to First Friday of every month from about 6 to 9 p.m. Particularly here in the Cultural Arts Center, there's a lot. But anyway, I'd like to introduce Brandon Tenney. He is our guest on this program today. We're going to get to know him, his music. He does a lot of covers. You might see him on around at the Green Bean or Common Grounds or one of the other various local shops between Greensboro and High Point and maybe Winston-Salem a little bit, right?
Yeah. And parts unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he might.
Pretty much everywhere. But I would say he doesn't do chain locations. So you're going to find him in the community coffee shops. You're not going to find him in
a Starbucks that is being. There's a Starbucks being built on Market Street. Just
why
we're going to
putting a Starbucks in a Starbucks.
A Starbucks inside of a Starbucks.
Yes.
Normally, a Starbucks goes inside of a grocery store.
If you go to the Harrison Teeters, yes, as they say in parts around here.
Anyway, Brandon, it's so good to have you on the program. Thank you for being here and all of our little shenanigans that we have. So tell me about, you're originally from, you live in High Point right now.
Yes.
And you're originally from Richmond?
Yes, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. So I was born there. My parents moved down here because my dad had gotten a job opportunity when I was 7. So I came down here. I don't think I came to High Point first. I think I came somewhere around Roxborough. And we moved around Thomasville, Roxborough, and then finally we landed on High Point. And then, and I've been living here since for maybe the past 14, 13 years now.
Well, we're glad you finally got here. I mean, we were waiting. The media was telling us you were over in Roxborough. So we're glad you finally got here. I haven't actually heard you play the guitar and sing, but, Brian comes in and he's very excited. And I said, yeah, I want to hear. I mean, he really, he puts you up on a pedestal, So we're going to look forward to a little music later from Brandon. And you had some more questions. I interrupted.
Oh, you're fine. This is how this show is going to go. It's going to go back and forth. But anyway, so how have you enjoyed Greensboro so far? Is there anything?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's a very arty place, and there's lots of places to play at. But I am trying to move outward and maybe go even farther out, like Boone, Asheville, and I've even looked at some places in Virginia that are to play at. Good 2.5 hour drive, but it's still worth it to kind of get your name out farther. So.
Well, after starting on this show, you'll probably get offers from Wolf Trap and places up that way. But we're glad to have you. what musician or band has impacted your life the most?
Oh, everybody who knows me already knows what I'm going to say, but David Bowie.
Oh,
Oh God, I love that guy. I started listening to him maybe 2018, and normally when I get into an artist, I get real crazy about them for maybe, it depends on, like, Queen. I still love Queen, but I've listened to their whole discography, so now it's just like, okay, they're Queen, they're cool, I like them. But David Bowie, it's still like, I just watched the Moon Age Daydream, like, documentary biopic. It almost brought a tear to my eye. Like, I would say go watch it. It's on HBO. I don't know what else it's on, but I know it's on, like, if you have HBO Max, it's on there.
What about David Bowie kind of intrigued you?
So one thing, well, there's a lot of things, but I'd say one thing about him is that the way he was able to adapt with time. So, like, the 70s is probably, like, my sweet spot with music, and it's mainly because there's so many different styles of music throughout that decade. In the early 70s, you had, like, and even in these certain parts, there were still different corners. He utilizes the parts that interested him. Like, the early 70s, it was very glam punk, like T-Rex and whatnot. Guess what Bowie was doing? Ziggy Stardust. And then mid-70s, he was doing Plastic Soul, wearing suits and stuff. And then when New Wave came in the late 70s, he was now, recording albums in Berlin, like, songs like, Sound and Vision and whatnot, and Heroes, which is, if you look at it, it's all he looks completely different, and it's completely different sounds. Late 60s, he was doing folk, so, sci-fi folk. Have you ever heard of sci-fi folk? Then
No.
So, like...
Plus he invented that knife, so, there's a lot...
Actually, he got that name from the general. He was very interested in American history, and the General Bowie, he would go into battle with the Bowie knife. He was like, his last name was Jones, and he didn't want to get mixed up with the Monkees artist, so he changed his last name.
Davy Jones?
Yeah, Davy Jones. And that was his first name. That's what he was called, Davy Robert Jones, I think it was.
So. And a lot of us would have loved to have been mistaken as Davy Jones at that time. I'm going to tell you what. So when you think to that time period, obviously that was prior to your being on the face of the earth, the 70s and late 60s. What, and personally for me, David Bowie, when I think about it, I think about the soundtrack from *Inglourious Basterds*, which is a Quentin Tarantino film. It
Huge.
is, isn't it?
Oh yeah, huge
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino fan.
Yeah. And he does the soundtrack, and it can be very weird, but it's Bowie.
It was Cat People putting out the fight.
People,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's pretty much, of course, everyone knows the pop hits fame and
Rebel, all that stuff.
Yeah. So, any other obscure artists there that you?
Well, I'm actually really starting to get into the Talking Heads. Actually, in my class that I go to, Live Sound, he had to sit there, take notes on the audio, and he had we put up these huge speakers, subwoofers and everything, and he has a big, like, a big screen that we watched on. It was their tour where everybody came on the stage individually. You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever seen that concert where it was just him with a little boombox, a little stereo, and then Tina Weymouth, is that her name? The bassist.
Oh,
She came on to accompany him, and then the drummer came on, the guitarist came on. The next thing you know, it was this big stage of just, it's really awesome. Let's see. I would say the Beatles, but I guess everybody would say the Beatles,
Well, I'm going to bring up a sore spot. You recently were on a radio station, and rather than expose you to a new audience and to celebrate your music, they chose to rate you. And Brian and I have been we talked about it, and it was just so unfair to you for them to offer up any kind of criticism as if they were even worthy of that.
So so they had you cover a song.
Mm-hmm.
and
Not really
then
of my choice.
each of them had rated you, and then there were callers that called in to rate you as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was you? So you got invited. Talk us through all that.
So actually, one of my musical friends hooked me up with it. He put my name in, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" So I talked to the guy that was like, that went and found the acts, and he asked me what song I wanted to do. Well, I really wanted to do the song "Something" by the Beatles. It's a nice, smooth, easy song, easy to listen to in the morning.
Love it.
Oh yeah, and when it's 7:30 in the morning, got your radio on, you don't want to hear,
They might have been afraid so many women would have showed up to the station.
They would have knocked
was
down.
funny. Oh, yeah.
They would have knocked over the security guard.
Absolutely. I'm just telling you that brings up a whole new theory. But continue.
But yeah, no, he told me if I'm gonna do the Beatles, I either have to do "Here Comes the Sun" or I forget the other one, but it's like another top 40 material thing.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. Can I do "The Man Who Sold the World" by David Bowie? And he was like, you guys know that song, "The Man Who Sold the World"?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't? He was like, can you do something more known? And I was like, if that's unknown, then... Because I have over 3 hours worth of material, and I was just like, a lot of it, not super obscure, but if "The Man Who Sold the World" doesn't make the cut, I can't imagine a lot of other things. So the only option I had was "Stuck in the Middle with You." Who doesn't know that song? If he says no to that song, I guess I can't do it then.
Well, you've got every song Steelers Wheeler ever put out.
Yeah.
So I did that, not really wanting to do that song, but okay, fine, because I've played it over 1 million times. I do it at almost every gig. I mean, the crowd loves it. Okay, fine, I'll play it, and it's a good jam, it's a fun song to play. And I did it, and I swear the first guy that came on, and like I can be very critical of my own performance, so a lot of times when I play, I'm like, oh god, I did awful. When I go back and look at it, I'm like, okay, it wasn't that bad. And the first guy that came on, I remember his name, it was Mo or something, but he was like, yeah, no, that's gonna be an F straight off the bat. I was just like, oh. I had my glasses on, so it kind of hid my, I just kept a smile on my face, but like I was just like, or I was just like, just kept, just like, okay, that's fine, I do remember like Jared and Katie, were like, oh, the acoustic was too loud. That was our fault. That's not his fault. But then Mo was like, oh, no, but he needs to work on his vocals. And I was just like, oh, okay, fine. I understand. I got it. Go away.
I'll tell you what bothered me on a deep personal level was when she said, I really liked him. I thought he was good. I'm going to give him a B-. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't have professors like that. It's like, he's really good.
Always
I'm
room
gonna
for
flunk him.
always room for improvement, I guess.
Oh my gosh, it's like, what are they thinking?
So I guess the question is, this is one of the things that we talked about, was how do you deal with that sort of criticism?
Well, you got to go in understanding that you're going to get criticism, and some of it's valid and some of it's very just people speaking out of their ass, so
it's obtuse, yeah. Well, and the thing about it is, usually your critics are people that could never jump in the arena, probably can't play 2 chords on a guitar.
That's the crowd. That's who I'm playing for mostly, though. If you think about it, most people I'm playing for are people who don't play music.
Well, let's face it, man. When I was a teenager, guitar, you could just carry a guitar and women would flock.
Oh yeah.
They'd flock to you. We know and when you can play it and you can sing, you're a babe magnet. I mean, let's just put it out there,
No, I will say, if I walk around the street with this thing, a lot of people are a lot nicer to me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They look for a tin cup to throw some money.
They're like, hey, what's your name?
Yeah. They well, when I see people who actually can play and sing, for me, that's what we all desire down deep. I know you do. We've talked about this, and you want to be that person that can just whip out the guitar and play some classic Bread or something, that just drives the girls up the wall. So, I get it, and I understand it, and Brian knows every David Gates and Brad song out there. So, I get that. But I see people who are critical of you and what you do, and I'm like, no, time out. No, you don't get it.
Yeah.
And the people that don't get it are never going to get it.
Yeah.
So when you're by yourself and you're sitting at home alone, what do you play?
Well, I mainly just rehearse material, maybe
Do
for.
you write?
Oh, I do write.
Okay.
Oh, I do write. Actually.
What kind of? We always hear about the creative juices flow and when writing a song, but what do you write from? Where do you write from?
Ooh. So, I find it hard to be. I'm not good at like talking about
Yeah.
feelings and all that stuff, but I use my writing as a way to kind of do that. But it's very. I kind of stuff it to where I put double entendres over it and just really cover it over, so you wouldn't know. But I mainly write about things that I'm interested in and kind of, relate it back to me. Like, there's this book that I really enjoyed reading. It's a series, Life as I Knew It. It's a 4-series book, and it's about how this meteor hits the moon and it gets pushed closer to the Earth and, cause disaster, natural
the tides.
Yeah. And everybody starts freaking out and panicking and whatnot, and it's basically a post-apocalyptic world now, and, sickness kills people, and it's cold because the ash covers the sky and the sun is blocked.
Yeah, a lot of damage done.
Bad. But, oh my God, I finished all 4 books. It was amazing. I love
What was the name of the book again?
Life as I Knew It. That was the first book. So it's Life as I Knew It, The Dead and the Gone, The World We Live In, and if I can remember the last book name, but I just call it Life as I Knew It because, that's the first one of the 4. It's a really good book. It's not a hard read either. It's only about maybe 350 pages for each one, so I don't know what people consider hard read.
So did that motivated you to write some songs, or
That's
post-apocalyptic world, and you're...
That's one song I wrote. I was in psychology class when I was in high school, like a few years ago. We were going over sleep paralysis. And I don't have sleep paralysis, but I found it very interesting. So anytime I struck up a conversation with somebody, I did my research and everything. I would just ask questions and talk about it, like basically an interview kind of, just really, so I can go back and write and get it right. And actually, people, when they listen to it, they tell me it's very accurate, and it gives a sense of anxiety and stress and panic, and that's what I was really trying to give the song. So I think mission accomplished on that.
That's very personal.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. What is sleep paralysis for those of us that don't know?
So, you just wake up one morning, you can't move your body, but you can hallucinate, you can get out-of-body experiences, maybe this feeling you can't breathe. Like my bassist, a long time ago, he gets it. He told me that it feels like his head's underwater.
Huh.
It's very strange. I've never gotten it, luckily. I put a line in the song, arachnids all over the walls, under my sheets so I can feel them crawl. I close my eyes so I count to 10, open my eyes, away they went. Because I can imagine, if I got sleep paralysis, I like to put myself in the shoes. If I were to have it, I have a very bad fear of spiders. Like, I don't
Arachnophobia.
Yeah. So I could just imagine just Harry Potter-sized spiders all over the walls, under my sheets, crawling all over my face.
Is this the one you wrote, Eyes Open But I'm Not Awake?
In My Room. That's the song title.
In My Room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can move my body, but my brain's not awake or some shit.
Yeah, you had some juxtapositions kind of in this where, generally if you're up, you're awake, but
Yeah.
you kind of like flip some of these sort of ideas on it. And
I was going for a very Andy Warhol. Like, you never heard of the David Bowie Andy Warhol song? I was going for a very kind of that tone. Dun, da, 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 give it like that kind of like you're kind of like in the jungle, kind of fighting, but you're in your bed, you're asleep. So the drums are. So
Takes me back to my days of Jethro Tull and Bungle in the Jungle. But
It sounds like Apocalypse Now is what it sounds
oh
like.
yeah, you could do a movie soundtrack for a really deranged movie.
Well, since you're here, we encouraged you to bring your guitar.
Yes.
Could you play this song since we've been...
in my room?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
your room.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're here in the studio, but play in your room.
Yes, of course, of course.
Yeah, the song, for everyone out there, the song is in your room, not, it will all take place here at the table.
He's got a tune. Now tell me about tuning. How do you do this by ear?
So I can either do it by ear, by using pitch harmonics and whatnot. But if I'm trying to get it done fast,
Yeah.
which is right now, I'm just gonna use my built-in tuner.
Oh, yeah.
Very fancy.
How long did it take you to write this song?
Ooh, honestly, I will say with the big switches, in the song, it made me a little like, oh god, does this sound right? So maybe just like a couple weeks at best.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer putting all the other instruments together, but not too long.
So when you say putting all the other instruments together, do you layer it and then have a total? That's how the band Boston
Right.
started. It was in the basement. The guy had a computer program, and there was no band called Boston.
Yeah.
So the what was the song? Oh, what a feeling!
More than a feeling.
More than a feeling.
More
So
than a feeling.
it goes, just gets hot as a firecracker, and the record company says, "Well, we've got to, put together a band and have this
Yeah.
because there's just no way all these people you have created in the electronic space."
Well, a lot of times, I'll start with the acoustic, just one good run, get the structure down, the lyrics. Then I'll add the instruments and, put them in how I want to do them. And then I'll meet my musicians, show them what I've done, and they'll kind of pick it apart and be like, because I'm not a drummer, so I don't have a drummer's intuition. And I also don't want to step on my drummer's toes, so.
Smart man.
All right, you guys ready?
Go.
In my room. I tried to get out of bed today. My eyes were open, but my body wasn't awake. This is a nightmare I tried to escape. But this is real and I became afraid. And I tried to scream out loud, but there wasn't even any sound. Arachnids all over the walls, under my sheets so I can feel them crawl. I close my eyes and I count to 10. I opened my eyes and away they went. I try to find a sense of clarity, so I can try to understand the severity. Oh, and then I started to panic when my brain started to go frantic. Oh, as I see sunlight, I can feel those yellow eyes. I've a sense of impending doom, and my demise will be right here in my room. I still can't even move. My body's trapped, I'm locked in a tomb. Someone is knocking at my door. Nothing I can do other than try to ignore the clicking of locks makes me fear. The sound of a slamming door brings me to tears. The sound the footsteps from the hallway. I can hear voices, but I don't care for what they say. Oh, as I see sunlight, I can feel those hot red eyes. I've a sense of impending doom, and my demise will be right here in my room. I can move my body, I regain composure. Now I will go about my day, haunted with the things that took place. Now I must prepare for the night. In my room I won't be awakened in fright.
Come on, man. Put them together here. Awesome. Awesome here. You know, I just, for me, when I hear the words "in my room," you know, Brian Wilson wrote "in my room," much different in my room. So now when I hear "in my room," this is what I'll think of. This is good. This is very good. Yeah. It carries me back to when, you know, June Carter wrote that song, Ring of Fire, and Johnny had the idea to put the mariachi horns behind it. And I'm thinking, you know, mariachi horns coming in there behind that.
I think
okay,
that'd be.
Am I off on that?
No, because he actually performs with John the drummer.
Yes, I do.
Is that his name?
I do. And he gets the feel just right for it, you know. I actually think this kind of style.
Well, because he always performs with the drum circle out
Yeah.
here on First Friday that we're talking about, and you know, they have all sorts of instruments out there. That would actually be his connection to that is John the drummer.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
John the drummer.
Yeah.
Oh, he's really great. He's really talented, and he'll follow me, you know, to whatever gig I need to do. Like, we did a 2.5 hour set at the Greensboro Farmers Market. What date was this? Not this past Saturday, but the one before. And literally right after that, I was a whole nother vibe. Went to go play for a fraternity party from 1 to 2. And he said, you know what, I'll come.
Hey, you gotta love that. You gotta love that. It's professional busking.
Now, how do you know? You said a different vibe. Like there's different types of sets, like
You're like a chameleon with a guitar.
Places that you go.
So with the Greensboro Farmers Market, it's very kid friendly, family friendly kind of vibe. The fraternity, not so much.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, what kind of kid stuff would you, or kid friendly? What were you?
Ooh, maybe Cry Baby Cry by the Beatles.
Okay. Just something where the parents could, you know, be motivated to buy more produce, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I could do something like Walk on the Wild Side. I'd just have to cut out the candy verse, you know. I actually remember a long time ago when I was performing, I was like in high school, and I was at this Halloween party. That's what I was mainly getting, Halloween parties, high school birthday parties, stuff like that, you know. And I remember I came across that verse. I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't figure out what to put here. So I rattled something off the top of my head and just kept going. Because I saw little kids running around. I was like, I'm going to have to say that line. I can't say that line right now. So
That's probably one of your favorite songs, isn't it?
Walk on the Wild Side.
Yeah, because I've heard you play it. It was on Instagram, and then I heard you play it out here on Elm Street.
The Lou Reed.
Oh, I love that song. It's a great song. Some people can get a little funny about it, though. Well, okay, so a lot of people don't understand, the history behind the song and what it really stands for. So when the first verse comes wrong, plucked her eyebrows on the way, shaved her legs, and then he was a she. They're like, oh, that's transphobic. No, he's telling the story of... All these people... There's 5 verses. Every verse is about somebody real that he knows. So it's literally a story about somebody going through, transition, The next verse is about a prostitute named Candy. The next one's about Little Joe. He's like a hustler or something. The next one's doesn't have the name, but he calls this person Sugar Funk Fairy, which is and
Straight out of Tchaikovsky. Yeah.
and Jackie is the last verse. She's like a druggie, So, but all the names are changed. Literally in the music video it says all the names of these people are changed to protect their identities. So.
You really dig into the history of the artist and the song.
If
that
I
you're
really
playing.
like them, yes. I got to Lou Reed from Bowie. Really like Lou Reed in his earlier years, in his Velvet Underground years. I feel like he kind of got a little stale, like when the 80s came, although there's some good things, but Transformers, one of my favorite albums, so.
Well, I have to tell you, when I think back, I'm the older guy here. I know you probably didn't realize, but
older.
Actually, I'm the oldest, okay? But I think back, one of my favorite singer-songwriters was a guy named Joe South, and he was from Atlanta, Georgia, and he was a session player, and all of a sudden he started writing good stuff, and he wrote "Walk a Mile in My Shoes" and "Games People Play," and "I Didn't Promise You a Rose Garden," and he could really walk the. But then he did "Hush" that Deep Purple did. So he could do just about everything. But he was just your consummate Southern rocker before Southern rock was ever named.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to see him. And his brother committed suicide, and that sent him into a tailspin. And he didn't perform for like 15 years. So, by the time he comes out of that, I'm unable to go to the places he's playing. But I love singer-songwriters. I love the creative part of it, not just the fact someone has a guitar and they can sing.
Yeah.
It's they actually can create. And I think, being able to create is far more important than being able to stand up and mock Chet Atkins, as the old Roadhog used to say. But, so I really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, I was just curious, like getting up in front of people and playing, is that something you ever had reservations about, or is that something you always wanted to do? Do you get nervous?
So, this is the thing. Sometimes I can get very nervous.
I don't believe that.
No, sometimes I can get very nervous. I'll be drinking tons of water because my mouth will start getting dry.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, just sitting there, just like, picking at my fingernails and stuff. Like, I'm about to go to war or something. And sometimes I can't wait to get on the stage. I'm like, oh, it's taking too long. Get me up there, so I can do my thing. Like, I like watching live performances, but if I watch too long, it makes me, like, I guess a little antsy or, like, jealous or something. Like, I want to be up there, Like, I can't wait for my gig next week, and I want to play, So, I can really only sit and watch for, like, 30 minutes until I get a little, like,
Is there a difference in the environment, or, like, if there's someplace you've been before? Like, I know you play, Common Grounds or wherever. If you've been there before, is there any distinction between when you're anxious just to get up there and, get it on, or when you're just sitting there nervous?
It may just depend on the day. maybe sometimes I'm just like a little unsure of the song, like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna like it. If I'm gonna do like Rocky Raccoon by the Beatles or something, where I got to do the Southern accent in the beginning. I don't really have a Southern accent, I've been told by people, like, this one guy came up to me and was like, "Are you from Midwest or something?" Or I went to the barista at Common Grounds, and she was like, I asked for a drink, and she was like, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "High Point." She was like, "Oh."
And if you'd been in High Point, they would have just said, "Where are you from? You ain't from around here."
No, they do.
Yeah.
I've been told, someone told me that I had like a bit of an Irish accent or something. I was just like, huh? Okay. Thanks.
Well, take it for what, it's given.
Bit
It's a
exotic.
compliment. Yeah. Well, I know that some people do well, songwriters do well collaborating, and others hate to collaborate because they want to do their own thing. Have you tried to write anything with someone else?
Many times, and I used to be like that, very like, it has to be my way or the highway.
Yeah.
But you got to learn that you're serving the music, although, all musicians, we all have egos. A lot of people have egos, but you have to learn to kind of drop it. That's why in the beginning, when I would write a drum part, and I would give it to my drummer, and he would change it, we would start butting heads like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "What is this?" Now in my head I'm like, this does sound a little bit better, but I can't tell him that. But for the longest time now I've been like, okay, I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna give it to him, and I'm gonna tell him, hey, if you feel like something needs to be changed, change it. It's all good, So now I'm a little like,
It's like when a movie's written, when if somebody takes a book or a script, once you sign it over and they hand you the check, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. That's it. And like, if you don't like the movie, it's like, well,
Yeah.
too bad. So sad. You signed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you cashed the check.
Yep. And you weren't too hesitant about taking the money now, were you?
No. So have you had any, music today is so different as far as getting traction than it used to be. I mean, in the old days, someone had to hear you, push you to a music company and get you out. Do you have any kind of ideas of putting together a CD or something that would be?
I'm actually putting out a single. It's coming out October 31st. I told you about it. It's Her Love. And it's going on all the platforms, all of them. And I'm getting it copyrighted. And I'm going to actually go through a publisher, maybe BMI or something. I'm going to really hit hard on promotional stuff because I am really trying to get the traction.
Yeah.
Because, the coffee shop gigs are great and all, but...
Well, I will tell you something. I worked for the governor before I came into this position, and in the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, and we had an initiative we came out with that was called Come Here NC, HEAR. And it was all about the music of North Carolina and the famous musicians that have come out of North Carolina. And I would encourage you to go and Google that, look at everything. They've got a YouTube channel for that, and the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. And you will be able to weave a friendship with a lot of artists in North Carolina that are big name people. But they do have we had no problem asking performers to come back to North Carolina for the Year of Music. And the Year of Music was about 4 years ago. And it was because we were on, North Carolina was on the front cover of, I can't remember the name of the publication, but it's a big time music magazine. And only once a year do they have a state that's recognized. And so, that would be something that you can look into, make friends, and expand your...
Come Here NC?
Come Here NC.
Okay.
And I would just say that because, I went to many a concert at the governor's mansion of artists I didn't know who they were. And then when I left, I was like, wow. And I look them up and, wow. So...
Actually, I've been doing a lot of networking within my school, and I'm actually getting a lot of stage crew work. Just did Iron Maiden yesterday. I'm gonna tell you that has me a little bit sore today. I did it from 8 a.m. to 1, and then came back from 10:30 to 2:38. Yeah, at night, and I was on lighting, so it was pretty. They sounded great. I was too scared to take a video because I didn't know if someone was gonna like come by, take my phone, or like kick me out of the place. So I just.
Did you go to the folk festival this
I
year?
did stage crew for that.
Good deal. Good deal.
I did it on the Little Bower Park. Did it for I did 2 days of load in, load out, and I did stage check on Friday. And I did it for this band, Sultry, and a couple other bands, and like a bluegrass act for a school.
Oh, it's the UNCG Fiddlers or whatever.
Something like that, yeah. And basically my job was to set up the stage. They gave me a stage plot, set up the PAs, or not PAs, the monitors, the amps, and whatnot. And let's say if something fell over, like the hi-hat mic, which it did, and it fell, and guess what I did? I ran on the stage, I put that back.
A real mic drop.
A true mic drop.
Oh no, I made sure the staff leader when I saw me, I was just like, I did it.
How wonderful that we have these festivals in North Carolina. And I mean, even, they have the World of Bluegrass Festival down in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, these are big events. And
Yeah.
they have Merle Fest up here every year in
Blues.
North Wicksboro.
Blues Festival.
Blues Festival here.
Yep.
So there's great resources that you don't have to drive 2 or 3 days to see. I mean, we don't have Bonnaroo's not that far if you have to go to,
Well, Greensboro is great because there's a lot of places near Greensboro that you can kind of like
Absolutely.
pivot.
Well, I mean, you got the over in Saxonpaw, you got the ballroom. You got all these venues that have really been wonderful.
Yeah.
And David here at GCTV, I mean, he was at the Eno River Festival just the other day, and I mean, these music festivals, they're just fantastic.
Yeah.
So I hope we'll be seeing you soon.
I would like to play in the folk festival at some point. That would be kind of cool.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, because I know we can certainly take you upstairs and introduce you to some folks.
Amy Grossman.
Okay.
So you are doing, you're going to school for sound engineering.
And recording engineering and live sound. Yeah.
Recording engineering and live sound. So tell me about what's involved in that.
So originally, I took a year off from school because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go in for the more musical side, you know, jazz band and whatnot, or the more background stuff like, stage crew, live sound, being a sound engineer or recording engineering. Wasn't sure because I know if I went for the more musical side of it, I mean, yeah, they could teach me things and things like that, just won't get me a job. But if I do sound engineering and recording engineering and live sound and that side of it, now I'll be able to get work and have a good job. And with recording engineering, they have a whole studio at GTCC, and they just show us, and they have acoustics class and all sorts of things like that. But right now I'm in live sound, and right now we have a project where we are building a stage and we're setting up the room as if you're going to a show, because we're actually about to have like a event for 3 bands that are in the school. So, and they're all like 11-piece bands. So the stage is going to have to be pretty big, a lot of stuff. I'm excited for it. Not a lot of my classmates share the same enthusiasm, but I was like, let's get it going, because it's fun, it's interesting, and I enjoy it. So,
are some of the principles and things like that you've learned in class helped you when you're out playing?
Yes.
Can you tell me about some of the things that have helped you?
Oh, being neat on the stage. I remember before this class, there'd be cables all over the floor and stuff. I'd take a step, almost trip. Now, I coil them up, put them behind the amp, wrap them around the mic stand if I'm not going to move around too much. Things like that, to where it looks real nice and professional, because it is true. This is what they told me, that, the way you present the stage and everything, that's the audience. The audience sees that first. They don't see how you sound first, so they're going to be like, this is about to be a shit show. But if it looks nice and everything looks put together.
Can you say that?
Oh, we'll bleep them
We'll bleep them out. Keep
I'm
that.
sorry.
Don't be
That's
sorry.
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the idea of it, and just and also, I can mix my own sound a lot better now, since I actually know how to do it.
And I mean, it's like having a resume and not just a song list.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm legit, I can handle it.
So do you have a plan in your head about what you want to do? Do you want to move on with singing and songwriting?
Yeah.
Is sound engineering sort of a...
Let me ask you this. Money's not an issue. Everything is equal. What would you do today if you could do anything in the world?
Oh God, just play my music. I wouldn't worry
Just
about
perform.
just perform. I like doing stage crew, but it's also a feeling I kind of have to.
Yeah.
Because I don't, I want to make music all a part of my life. Right now, my day job, it's great. It's a good job, but it's not music.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, okay, if I can do stage crew just enough to, make enough money to support myself and everything, and play my music, that's great. But yeah, I mean, if money wasn't a problem.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, you need to, at your age, you need to find where your passion
Yeah.
lies and go for it. Forget the other components of it, because you will get to a point where, you don't have the same opportunities. And right now you've got the world is your oyster. So,
And you are 20 years old? you
20,
said?
yeah.
yeah, see,
Holy
this is incredible.
cow.
I know.
He's
got the world
so young.
Ahead of him. This is,
Like, think about what would happen if you play for the next 10 years, like
Oh.
where you'll be.
Or even,
have you ever thought of even hooking up with a band and just traveling or doing?
I've actually been in a couple bands. I right now just use, just backing musicians. Mainly because to be in a band, everybody has to be committed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've
If you're-
seen that.
If you're a backing musician, it's just okay. You show up for the gig, you learn the material,
Yeah.
rehearse, and
And you have a Yoko come in and ruin everything.
Everything. Just everything.
Actually, my last band experience, that actually was kind of the experience. I'm not gonna drop any names.
Well, it's just like in Spinal Tap. I mean, So we saw it.
Have you found an amplifier that goes to 11?
Yeah, and if are you a fan of Spinal Tap?
I've seen clips of the movie.
No. I'm just going to tell you today. This comes from Brian and from me, from the heart. You have to watch Spinal.
Oh no, it's on my list. It's on my
You've
list.
got to, and take a weekend, binge watch, do what you got to do. But that's an important.
I like the clip where he's like, showcasing the guitars, and he's asking what type of guitar he uses. He's like, oh no, he's like, don't touch it though.
Don't even look at
Don't
it.
even look at it.
Not even allowed to look.
Uh,
Yeah, you can catch Brandon anyway from Green Bean, Common Grounds. Do you have any places you're regular at?
So I play at the Deck. Let's see. There's this place. It's in High Point. It's like a High Point, Jamestown area. Oh God, why am I? Plank Street. Yes. I busk right outside Cheesecake and Alex if you want to try and form a crowd. Elsewhere, I play at on occasion. I kind of just bounce around, and I always find new places to play at. So, but yeah, Green Bean, Common Grounds, those regulars there. So yeah.
Yeah. And do you ever feel out the crowd, like with what kind of songs you're leaning towards,
Mhm.
or do you ever do you have a set list that you go in with, or an idea in your head of what you want to do?
If it's a gig, I'll have printed out papers and I'll give them out to everybody. If it's an open mic, I used to be very plan it out, but sometimes I'll just go there and be like, hey guys, let's just play this, and this. Yeah.
Play what you want.
Yeah. It's an open mic.
They give you an open mic, man. That's their problem.
Yeah.
You go for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we do here.
Yeah, that's
The
literally
mic's open.
there's no script, there's no
No.
nothing.
No. Actually, sometimes we're retro, but I would say retro is now tro today.
When we were going over some of the website stuff, she looked at us and she said, "Storyboard it." She said, "You guys are gonna have to storyboard this," and I said,
No, we're not.
"Yeah, no, I really can't. I don't have the time."
We have storyboard allergies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what she's saying. She's a very planned out individual,
yeah.
and there's some people that are like that.
We're getting a new website. Probably will go live sometime between now and Thanksgiving, and a lot of work goes into it. A lot of a lot of verbiage. I think that's what's been the real verbiage and photography.
verbiage.
Verbiage. I like that. I've always liked that word because you pronounce it differently than it's spelled. It's not verbiage, but it's spelled that way. It's like you don't say, "Well, I can know that."
I say that all the time, actually.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Yeah. Well, and we're just proud to have you here today, and just make sure you don't, get in any trouble out here. And we love you. We're gonna push you, but if you get thrown in jail or something, don't call us. We don't know you.
So you talked about when your CD is coming out soon.
Single.
Your single. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
On the 31st, we talked about where people can find you and things of that. And is there anything else? Where can people find you online? I know your Instagram is Brandon Tenney.
Brandon.Tenney, and also just made a music page. So I'm actually transferring this over just to keep things organized and separate. Brandon.Tenney will be my more just personal account, hang out with friends and stuff like that. But it's.Tenney's Music is going to be my music account, and that's strictly going to be how it is. What I'll do is I may put on my story, like on my personal account, like, hey, go check out this video from a more music account. So.
Okay, cool. Do you want to close us out? We're getting towards the end here. This is the end. We're
my only friend. The end.
do you want to close us out? He does the singing.
Here you go.
No. He's allergic.
Although I do look sexy holding one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've been told.
He's a big Elvis fan too.
Yeah, I've been told.
I saw, is that the Elvis cup?
No, the Elvis was in my office.
I see.
But, yeah.
David, our engineer, got that for him for his birthday.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a schmuck. I didn't get him anything for his
so
birthday.
See, the King, the parts I love about the King are not what everyone else loves. It's like what I love is when he walks into the White House and Nixon goes, "Oh, some funky clothes you've got there," and he said, "Mr. President, you got your show to run. I got mine.
Oh.
Stay in your lane."
How do you feel about the movie that just came out for it?
Oh, I love the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God, that guy is great. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Yeah, I would suggest you watch Elvis, the movie.
Is that my homework?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Is that the one that just came out here
Yes,
recently?
and-
Is it on
and-
Netflix?
It is. Actually, no, it's on HBO Max.
I know it's on HBO Max.
Yeah. But if you
Can you give me your password?
well, here's what you do. What you do is you tell them you're going to try it out. 30-day free pass. Yeah, you can. I'm pretty sure Graceland website will pretty soon have it to where you can watch it for 10 cents or something. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. If you love music, you got to love the King because he gave you a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I was serious about the mariachi horns. Though.
I'm actually going to look into that.
Look into that.
I'm
I
gonna look into
think that'd be. Well, he's going to come back and thank me one day when he's big. He's going to get.
You gotta have more mariachi horns.
I was sitting there. This guy told me that this song would have been great with mariachi horns.
I got a fever.
Oh man! Well, give us one on the way out here.
All right, I call this one. I think I showed you this when you were, videoing me. Something Real.
That worked for you, sir.
Oh.
And this is a
Own
one
or-
you've written.
Yes.
This is
Of
your
course,
own
yes.
original composition.
Gotcha.
I take too long To admit I'm wrong, I lose myself. It's all too much, I lose my touch, this I felt. And when illusions fade, you'll find the words to say. I begin to think, as I start to break, I fall down. Take it all in, so I begin to live right now. Day is gray and night is black, it's never looked so bad. But when it's all too much, you fall apart. Go back to the start. Oh, when it feels too bad, you find something now, to find something real. Time moves too fast, nothing ever lasts, I haven't found. Look into my eyes, only when I cry I make no sound. But when the day is done, you wonder where it's all gone. But it's all too much, you've lost your touch, and some have to lose.